How do you generate so many home service business leads that it almost feels illegal? Well, after spending somewhere between $50,000 and $80,000 on advertising and generating hundreds of leads for my own cleaning business, I've learned something that most business owners never realize. The reason you're not getting more leads probably isn't because Facebook ads isn't working. It's because your business isn't built to handle more leads. Now, if you run a cleaning company, landscaping business, pest control company, pressure washing business, or any local service business doing around $40,000 to $50,000 a month, I want you to pay very close attention to what I'm about to say. Because this mistake is costing business owners thousands of dollars every single month. Not because they are losing money, but because they are losing opportunities. According to a study published by CB Insights, one of the biggest reasons businesses fail isn't a lack of demand. It's that they can't scale their operation fast enough to keep up with growth. Think about that. Most business owners spend their time worrying about where the next customer is coming from. Meanwhile, they are completely ignoring the system that would allow them to handle 10 times more customers. And here's the scary part. Your competitors aren't. While you're trying to figure out how to get a few more leads this month, someone else is building the capacity to dominate your market over the next 5 years. That's why in this video, I'm going to show you a completely different way of thinking about lead generation. Because the businesses generating the most leads aren't always the businesses with the best ads. They are usually the businesses that are best prepared to handle growth when it arrives. Now, here's something most home service business owners never hear. The success of your ad campaign is often decided before the ad ever goes live. And I know that sounds crazy because most people think success comes from targeting or budget or some secret meta ad settings. But after spending tens of thousands of dollars on advertising, I found that one question matters more than all of those things combined. Why would someone stop scrolling for this? Think about it. Every single day, your potential customers are seeing thousands of pieces of content, family photos, videos, memes, news, messages, advertisements. In fact, research from Nielsen found that customers are exposed to thousands of marketing messages every single day, which means your biggest competition isn't another cleaning company or another pest control company. Your biggest competition is attention, and attention has become one of the most valuable currencies in business. This is why before launching any meta ads campaign, I run a simple test. I call it the 3-second test. Open your advertisement, look at it for 3 seconds, then ask yourself, would this stop me if I was scrolling Facebook? Not as a business owner, as the customer. Because here's what most ads look like. Company logos, stock image, we provide professional service, contact us today, and then business owners wonder why nobody responds. The reality is that average ad gets average attention, and average attention produces average result. So here's a practical exercise. Take your current advertisement and show it to 5 people who know absolutely nothing about your business. Give them 3 seconds to look at it, then ask them one question. What is this ad actually about? If they can't answer clearly, your customer probably can't either. And if your customer can't understand your message quickly, Meta can't save you. Not with more budget, not with better advertising, not with better targeting, not with more time. Because before someone becomes a lead, they have to become interested. And before they become interested, you have to earn their attention. Now, here's where most home service business owners get advertising completely wrong. They think the purpose of an ad is to reach as many people as possible. It's not. The purpose of an ad is to stop the right people. In fact, one of the biggest mistakes I see cleaning companies, landscaping businesses, pest control companies, pressure washing companies, and other local service business make is trying to appeal to everybody. The problem with appealing to everybody is that you end up resonating with nobody. Legendary copywriter Gary Halbert once said, if you want to sell to everyone, you sell to no one. And that's exactly how most home service ads are written. They are broad, generic, safe, and completely forgettable. Let me show you what I mean. Let's take a cleaning company. A typical ad might says, we produce professional cleaning services at affordable prices. Contact us today for a free quote. Now, there's nothing technically wrong with that ad, but there's also nothing memorable about it. Think about it from the customer's perspective. Why should they stop scrolling? What makes this different from the other 50 cleaning companies saying the exact same thing? Nothing. Now, compare that to this. Working 50 plus hours a week and still spending your weekends cleaning your house, you don't need another show. You need your time back. Notice what happened? The first ad talks to everyone. The second ad talks specifically to busy homeowners. The first ad sells a service. The second ad sells an outcome. And most importantly, the second ad immediately tells the right person, this is for me. Now, let's look at a pest control company. Here's a bad example. Professional pest control services, fast response time, free estimates available. Again, completely generic. Now, compare that to this. If you've seen one ant in your kitchen, there's a good chance there are hundreds more hiding where you can't see them. Immediately, your attention is captured. Why? Because it creates curiosity. It introduces a problem, and it speaks directly to a homeowner currently experiencing that problem. Do you see the pattern? The best performing ads don't try to attract everyone. They intentionally repel the wrong people and attract the right ones. And that's exactly what you should be doing in your marketing. In fact, one of the easiest ways to improve your meta ad this week is to call out your ideal customer in the first sentence. For example, attention busy homeowners, attention property managers, attention homeowners preparing to sell. Because when people feel like an ad was written specifically for them, they pay attention. And attention is where every lead begins. The businesses generating the most leads aren't usually creating better advertisement. They are creating more relevant advertisement. And relevant will outperform reach almost every single time. Now, over the past years, I've spent a lot of time studying some of the best marketers and advertising in the world. People like Alex Hormozi, Sam Ovens, Eugene Schwartz, David Ogilvy, and Gary Halbert. And what's interesting is that, although they all come from different industries, the principles they teach work incredibly well for home service businesses running meta ads. Let me show you what I mean. The first lesson comes from Gary Halbert. Gary used to say that if he could have any advantage in business, he wouldn't ask for a better product. He wouldn't ask for a better advertising. He would ask for a starving crowd. And this is exactly where most home service businesses get lead generation wrong. They focus on creating better ads when they should be focusing on finding the people who already need help. A homeowner who just discovered a pest problem, a homeowner preparing to sell their property, a busy professional who is tired of spending weekends cleaning. Those people are infinitely easier to convert than someone who has no immediate need for your service. The second lesson comes from Eugene Schwartz, one of the greatest copywriters who ever lived. He believed that great advertising enters the conversation already happening in the prospect's mind. And this is something I used in almost every meta ad campaign. For example, a cleaning company shouldn't start by talking about cleaning. It should start by talking about the frustration the homeowner is already experiencing, the clutter, the mess, the lack of time. Because customers pay attention to the problem they already have, not services they are not thinking about. The third lesson comes from Alex Hormozi, and it's one of my favorites. The market doesn't care about your business. It cares about its own problem. Think about how many home service business advertise we're family owned. We've been in business for 10 years. We provide quality service. The reality is that most customers don't care. They care about whether you can solve their problem quickly and professionally. The faster you understand that, the easier lead generation becomes. The fourth lesson comes from Sam Ovens, and this one can dramatically improve the quality of your leads. Sam teaches that the quality of the problem often determines the quality of the customer. In other words, not all problems are equal. A homeowner looking for the cheapest possible option is very different from a homeowner looking for the best solution. One shops based on price, the other shops based on value. And if you're running meta ads, attracting the second type of customer should always be the goal, because better customers create better businesses. And the final lesson comes from David Ogilvy. He famously said, never stop testing. And after spending somewhere between $50,000 and $80,000 on advertising, I can tell you that some of my biggest winners were ads that I almost didn't launch. And some of the ads that I thought would be home runs completely failed, which is why I never trust assumptions, I trust data. The market will always tell you what works if you're willing to listen. And when you combine all 5 of these principles together, something interesting happens. You stop trying to force people to become customers, and instead you start putting the right message in front of the right people at exactly the right time. And that's when generating leads start to feel almost unfair. Now, let me show you one of the biggest reasons some home service businesses seem to generate leads effortlessly while everyone else struggles. It's something I call the compound effect of meta ads, and most business owners completely miss it because they look at advertising week by week. Professionals look at advertising year by year. Let me explain. Imagine 2 landscaping companies. Both launch meta ads today. Both spend the same amount of money. Both generate a similar number of leads. At first, they look almost identical. But 6 months later, one company is dominating its market and the other is wondering why their results haven't improved. What happened? The first company learned from every campaign. They discovered which neighborhoods respond best, which offers generated the most appointments, which creative produced the lowest cost per lead, which homeowners were most likely to buy. And every time they learned something, the next campaign got better, and the next one got better. Then the next one got even better. It's very similar to compound interest. Albert Einstein reportedly called compound interest the 8th wonder of the world, because small improvements don't create linear results, they create exponential results. The same thing happens with advertising. A 10% 10% improvement in your messaging, a 10% improvement in your creative, a 10% improvement in your offer, a 10% improvement in your targeting. Individually, they don't seem like much, but stack them together over months and years, and suddenly you're generating leads at a level your competitors can't understand. The goal isn't to find one magical campaign. The goal is to become smarter with every campaign you run, because eventually something interesting happens. While your competitors are constantly starting over, you're building on years of data, years of customer insights, years of winning advertisements, years of understanding exactly what works in your market. And that's why some home service businesses seem to generate so many leads that it almost feels unfair. It's not because they found a secret, it's because they stopped targeting meta ads like a gamble and started targeting it like a system that gets stronger every time it runs. Now, if you're running a cleaning company, landscaping business, pest control company, pressure washing business, or any local service business doing around $40,000 to $50,000 a month, I'll leave a link below this video, because here's what I've noticed. Most business owners at your level don't have a service problem, they don't have a work ethic problem, and they usually don't have a customer satisfaction problem either. What they have is a predictability problem. Some months are great, some months are average. Referrals come in, then they slow down. One campaign works, another doesn't. And suddenly, you're spending more time thinking about where the next customer is coming from than where the business is going. The businesses that continue growing aren't necessarily the better operators. They simply have a more predictable way of acquiring customers. And that's exactly what Meta Ads should be. Not a gamble, not a guessing game, a predictable system for generating opportunities. So if you're serious about growing your business and want a second set of eyes on your current marketing, click the link below and reach out. Even if you're unsure whether we should work together, that's completely fine. The worst case scenario is you walk away with a clearer understanding of what's holding your growth back, where you're leaving opportunities on the table, and what I'd focus on if I were in your position. The best case scenario, we identify a few key bottlenecks, build a predictable lead generation system, and help you scale without relying on referrals, luck, or hoping the phone rings. Either way, you'll leave the conversation with more clarity than you had before. So click the link below, reach out, and let's see what's possible.